Hi everyone, my name is Jordan Shea. I am a writer, a teacher, and a performer as well, just recently. And I'm coming to you from Wongal country on Gadigal land of the Eora Nation. I wish to pay my deep respects to wherever you are and the fabulous patchwork of countries that make up Australia. I wish to acknowledge all First Nations people who are watching this and beyond the digital sphere, of which I'm coming to you today. So thank you. Um, I am doing a great little Griffin Award seminar on theme, urgency, risk, relevance, and why now. I've got that all written down as a cue card, so I know exactly what I'm doing, I hope. And today, what we're going to be doing is taking you through those overall arching themes when writing a play, and when you're in the early stages of writing a play, or whether you're in the later stages of writing a play. But importantly, I will be giving you some activities as well. I am a teacher and I've worked in this format before, so I'm really looking forward to taking us through theme, urgency, risk, or relevance, and why now. All right, so let's do a bit of a screen sharing. Okay, so let's have a look. See here, the Griffin Workshop. All right, guys, we are taking us through right now. Now, so, as I said, yes, indeed, that is me, Jordan Shea, Griffin Award Workshop. That photo is from Mullican Young Made Us, which premiered and closed just recently at the Queensland Theatre Company. It was the winner of the Queensland Premier Dramas Award, which I won, and I wrote this play, and that will actually be a main example of how we tackle if your play is relevant and how it is relevant without often you knowing. Okay, so like I said, I have a couple of strands to who I am. I am a performer in musical theatre only recently, and I've written plays predominantly for the Filipino Australian diaspora and community. I also have written for a wider audience as well. These plays have been performed at main stage theatre companies and also at independent theatre companies as well, a space that I have thrived very much for quite some time. So my practice is grounded in both the kind of main stage level and also the indie level. So basically, how to work with a very large financially supported ecosystem and how to support yourself, pretty much. So these examples will be drawn on today. Maybe not me in the producers, but mainly my work. Having done that for quite some time. So I'm really excited to get started. Theme. This is an interesting one because I really believe before you start writing, you should know what your theme is. Theme is an overarching idea that runs like a fresh current through your work. I believe that most plays, most performative works have more than one theme, which makes it more exciting. So what I would like to do just for the next 5 minutes or so is I would like you to just do a quick brainstorm if you have any idea about what your play is about, what your theme is, and how you are actually, how or where you are. Is the theme as basic as joy, or is it as complex as intergenerational joy? So try and build on that. Start with something really basic, a really basic theme like goodness, okay, or unemployment, or love, and see what strands build from that. We want to kind of create a list that you'll be able to grab a theme out of that really speaks to you. But more importantly, we want your idea of that theme to grow inherently throughout the process. So 5 minutes on that. It's just a stream of consciousness. Just go, go, go. And I will be right here. Okay, so that should bring us back to a bunch of really interesting themes that maybe you know are in your play, or maybe they're themes that you're concerned about or have a resonance to that may start you writing. Either way, you should have a really comprehensive and long list of themes. I think theme is really important, and as a writer, one of my kind of biggest prerogatives is to always write the theme down in longhand and just put it where I can see it if I'm drafting a play. So this play, Arte La Via, where we've got Kaya Ocampo and Joseph Raboy, when this was performed at the Old Fitz in 2022, the main theme about this in a broad context was family, and I always remembered that. So that theme of family really strengthened the dialogue between the siblings. It strengthened what the siblings need to leave, what they need to come back to, and ultimately what they need to form. So something as basic as family can also lead to something like springboarding different themes as well. So family in this context springboarded disenfranchisement. Their father couldn't get a job because he was unqualified in Australia, but deeply qualified in the Philippines. Poverty as well was another big one because they were living during a time where economically it was very much against them rather than for them. So a theme can really serve as a grounding for basically everything, and it's always important to remember that at whatever stage you're writing. Okay, let's keep it going. If this works. Urgency. Ooh, this is a good one. Urgency is a great word because often I find that urgency is something that comes from within the writer. It kind of springboards into why now, but urgency for me is something that you need to know before you start writing. Why do you feel in this moment you need to tell this story? Is it personally connected to you? Is it something that you feel is just you can't walk away from it? With me, I'm writing a play at the moment where I spent 6 weeks with the characters just in my head until I realized why do I need to urgently write this play? And I realized that the urgency came from me wanting to explore how a workplace can have a power hold over you that sometimes you may not know about and sometimes you definitely do know about. But regarding urgency, I guess it is a question of why now. And relevance will come a bit later in this seminar, but urgency is very, very important because there's a kind of deep nature to it. There's also something that translates further as you get into production phase or development phase. You feel a sense of urgency to have this story seen by people, to have it read by people. That means that the sense of urgency within the play has to be strong. And that also feeds in with the theme. The theme has to be clear in order for the urgency to be strong. Okay. So in this case, I'll use my example here from One Hour No Oil. That's John Gomez Goodway and Shaw Cameron. Kenneth Moraleda and I co-wrote that, and Kenneth directed it for KXT in 2022. That was a very big year for me and big year for us. And in that case, we had a sense of urgency because I don't think a relationship between a Filipino man and a white man had really been seen on stage that complex. And at that point, we were really trying to pioneer a unseen relationship, which was kind of perennially urgent. It was always something that people wanted to see and hold and do. But what I wanted to do with you guys all today is to maybe just write urgency at the top of a page. And in brackets next to urgency, I want you to put why. And I want you to start writing, not dot points. If you want, actually, it can be dot points, but maybe just a stream of consciousness, starting with the sentence starter. I need to write this play now. I need to write this play now. Full stop. Why? Question mark and start. So just to recap, we are putting on a piece of paper. I need to write this play now. Full stop. Why? Question mark. Go for it. You got 5 minutes. Okay, awesome. So you should have a good idea about why this story is urgent to you, and I'm assuming that now you might have a clearer idea of how your story runs and why now, of course. So a stream of consciousness way is always a good way. That exercise is always a good way to kind of make you understand personally why you're doing what you're doing at the moment. And I guess it kind of also reinstigates and kind of puts a bit of passion back into your storytelling as well. I think often in the writing process, too much we can get. I'm seeing this at the moment. Often, you can get stuck in round and roundabout circles. So you do need to always remember why it is you're telling this story. What's your personal urgency for telling this story? Okay, let's get going, shall we? Risk. Oh, a great word. Because often we get told as writers by a lot of people, and fair enough, that economically new writing is a risk. And especially in Australia, new writing can be seen as a risk. So, how do we, I guess, mold our writing to make it be risk free or safe? I think that's personally impossible because I think riskiest theatre and riskiest storytelling is the most exciting. To write something unseen, to wanting to create a narrative that's unseen is really, really exciting, but it is also risky. So, risk is an interesting word because it's associated very much with negative vibes, right? It's associated very much with like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? And that's what we're going to do today is I guess there's two risks when involved in writing. Like there's a public risk and there's a personal risk. More often than not, we're seeing a huge boom in stories that are essentially harvested from personal experience. One of the most interesting pieces of feedback or questions that I got from Malacanang Made Us, which centered the 1986 People Power Revolution in the Philippines, was that my story? No, it wasn't. It didn't happen to me, but I am a Filipino Australian, so I have some immediate connection to it, and I'm aware of it as well. So what's really interesting for me was I guess I didn't really understand the risk of writing that particular story until we got a bit closer to production and until we got closer to development. Because writing anything cultural or anything personal can be really tough. So, in that way, I had to actually make some dot points, like a long list of personal risks and private risks. A personal risk was someone seeing the show and telling me that that wasn't what it was like. A public risk was a bad review. I don't know. For me, the personal or private risks are actually probably more resonant. So, what I would like you to do is whether you have your play in mind or whether you have a play that you're writing at the moment, I want you to write the risks of private slash personal and public. Both of these are incredibly vulnerable. One is more front facing than the other. So have a go at that and basically what you're risking when you're writing. But this should be interesting. I'll come back. We'll give you 5 minutes for that and then I'll come back and connect it all. Okay, awesome. Okay, awesome. So, risk. Now, looking at the personal or private and also the public risks that are associated with your work, it's very easy to be, I guess, put off by moving forward by creating a work that may have those risks attached to us. But at the end of the day, I really believe that it is more exciting to put it out there for your sake because someone else out there will resonate. Someone will always love your story other than you. I think that's really important to remember. I always tell that to kind of younger playwrights. I always say, someone's going to get it. Someone out there will love your story. But this is also a very good activity for you to kind of understand where you are in the process, but also kind of like where you need to be careful or kind of demonstrate some kind of safety towards your own practice. That is very important and always really, really, really inherent in the creation process. I think that safety is ultimately very important, particularly cultural safety. I think that it's really, really important to always acknowledge when we're going too far. And that might be, manifesting as having a really great support network around you or that sort of thing. Okay. So once you've identified that, let's keep going. Relevance. Okay. Relevance is a really interesting thing because if a playwright rocks up to a theatre company, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be asked, why this story, why now? Or who's the audience? That's another seminar, I think, for another day. But relevance is a very, very dicey topic. Because, I mean, I know from my perspective, writing culturally specific works that kind of resonate with a particular diaspora, although it's probably never been said to me so clearly, there is a risk of alienating audiences. So it really is about stepping back and understanding the themes. So going back to our earlier touch point on themes or the strands that make your work relevant to a wider audience. And that is where the power lies for your work. Universality is great. I guess, if I think about Mullick and Young, it really is a story about intergenerational tension as well, which I think any of us have had, regardless of culture, regardless of marginalized identity, regardless of background. It really is about who, you know, we have contrasting views with people, right? We have those really, really interesting tensions with people because we have clashes on ideologies, on generational issues, and that sort of thing. And that's what Mullick and Young was about for a big part. But what I really appreciated was, I guess, non-Filipino audience members being like, this touched me because I've had a fight with my dad about our disagreement on the cost of living or mortgage rates or something like that, which showed that there was ultimately a relevance. So relevance is a very, very important idea because even plays that go back to the 1600s have a sense of relevance today. I guess it's about making sure the clarity within your writing shows the clarity within the relevance. More often than not, we look at relevance as being right. So it's totally and it's totally for everyone. But there will be things that are specifically not for everyone. But for this exercise, what I would like you to focus on is what makes your work relevant. Okay. What makes it relevant right now? So putting relevant on a page with a big circle around it. We're doing an old school mind map. It works for my year eight, so it can work for everyone. That's the relevance. So what I would like you to do is really there's two bits to this activity. I want you to take 2 minutes and start putting themes around. Okay. So start jotting the themes around relevance and then we'll come back and regroup. So taking the themes that you did earlier in the slide and putting them around the word relevance on your page. Okay. Okay. So we're back on relevance. Now you've got your list of themes there. It's really important to kind of identify themes that are personally resonant to you and themes that you think are personally accessible and achievable to all those who watch your play or read your play. Overall, a play's relevance can change immediately. On the day we started rehearsal for Mullican Young Made Us, which centers a huge protest, there were massive protests in the Philippines that undoubtedly mirrored the narrative that we were creating. That obviously can generate a lot of interest and a lot of cultural excitement in a work. But in terms of thematic relevance, it is always important to do an exercise like the one we just did that centers what is going on in your play. Now, what I would like you to do for the next 3 minutes is I want you to categorize the themes that exist within your play into, I guess, personal relevance and public relevance. Okay, so a theme of, being late to school. If you're a young person that's writing a play, I work with high school students a lot, so pardon that example. But if you're a young person that's writing a play, that will probably prove more relevance to you than it will to a general audience member. So the more specific you can be, I found the more beneficial it will be for you. Okay. So we are categorizing the themes into personal relevance and then public relevance. Okay. We've got 3 minutes on that one, and that's one of our last exercises. Awesome. Okay, so right now you should have two lists of what is personally or yeah, personally relevant to you and also what might be publicly relevant to others. And what is interesting is you'll actually start to see some kind of connection between the two. So personal relevance for me is my mother's connection to Ferdinand Marcos's Declaration of Martial Law, which is the backbone of Mulligan Young made us, to the public relevance of politics. So I can start to see the the strands there that are really connecting to relevances and two themes as well. So two themes that are inherently relevant in their own type. My final thought for this particular workshop series, and thank you so much to Griffin Theatre Company for hosting me and allowing this wonderful form of accessibility to writers who are scribbling away inherently. I know I am. I really feel that relevance and urgency changes day to day with what is going on in the world, with how quickly our world changes, with political, with socio, with cultural events, with the digital sphere. What we are exposed to changes rapidly every single day. So therefore, these things are never fixed. They're always fluid. So I would encourage any writer to always just go back and to really do these exercises as much as you possibly can. They're easy 3 to 5 minute exercises and they'll really help your writing process. But more importantly, they'll make you understand what you're writing and strive for a sense of clarity, which is what any company and any writer really should want at the end of the day. So, maraming salamat to all of you. Thank you so much for having me.